Hello friends, welcome back to our channel RK Data Labs. Today we are going to see and cover one important topic in Lambda function. Yes, so we might have covered a couple of videos regarding DynamoDB creation, like in terms of how to create tables via UI itself, right? So now we are going to update the DynamoDB tables via programmatically. So in order to make sure that how we are doing it, we are trying to utilize Lambda function for that. Alright, so now here we go with the demo live. Yes, try to go to the Lambda function, try to create a function now here. So let me give a function name over here, test dynamo table, and then I'm just trying to create a function here, and after that I'm going to write one simple Python code, so that like the Python code, what it will try to do, it will try to insert the data into the DynamoDB table which we have already created. So before moving on to the Python code section, let me also open DynamoDB table. So we want to create a table, of course, here. Okay, so try to go to the DynamoDB service, go to the tables, and then try to create a simple table here. Let me try to create a table name called customer, and let me have the key called ID. Let me try to get the data. So let me query the data here to see the column names. Let me close this, run the SQL query. So now we could able to see like 4 different columns are printed over here. So let me take the ID as the primary key, go back to here, and let me make the data type as string. So let the key be ID as well. So now with all the configured predefined default settings, I was able to simply create a DynamoDB table. And then yes, here we go, successfully we have created a table called customer. Yes, so now if you see here, this is the bucket name and this is the file name where we are going to access it. So that like the Python code, what it will try to do, it will try to access the S3 bucket and then the file inside that S3 bucket, and then it tries to insert the data into the new DynamoDB table which we have created recently. Fine. So now we are going into the code section. So let me just simply delete it, and then as usual what we will do, we are trying to import some packages from Python side. So of course we will import JSON and Boto3. Boto3 is a client. It connects with Python and AWS SDK, right? So now what we are going to do, simply we are going to establish a client here as usual. It's just like connecting to other AWS services. So what we need to do, Boto3 dot client. So we are trying to handle 2 different AWS services. One is S3 to get the input data, so that like that can be used to insert the data, right? Yes. Alright, so now we are going to configure DynamoDB as well. Equals Boto3, as usual we want to configure the client and then try to access the DynamoDB. Alright, so all the prerequisites are completed. Now we want to get the table name first. So for that what we can do, access this and get this table name over here. And of course let's cross check with the table name here. So we are using the customers table. So customer, and then followed by, so we want to make sure that a method has been created. So event context, and then comes obviously we need to have the bucket name where we want to receive the data. So as you know, let's try to take it from here, test labs data. Let me get the file name. So we are now successfully able to write code for getting the bucket name and file name. And then comes the response. Obviously we want to get the response, get s3 client dot, we want to get the object, right? So get it. So let's try to get the bucket details, bucket name, and get the key. So make sure that K is in capital letter, equals to file name. So we have now get the response, and then we want to get the response add it to retrieve the data from the body contents of it. So let's try to put a bracket, get the body, read the file. So we are using a method called read here, and then of course we want to decode it because it is not in the standard format of any file format. So we are trying to use the UTF-8 format here, and then we are creating a list over here. Then we are getting the data and split the data. So of course we are going to make sure that it is delimited by new line characters. So every line is delimited with a new line character. For so we are just trying to build with the for loop customers. So let me scroll it. Yes, so we can try to print customers, and then comes the, we can just declare a variable here, and then we can pass on the data where we have received here in customers in the for loop. So now we want to split the data with the original delimited character. So of course it is a CSV file. We all know that it is delimited with the comma. And then comes, we want to, let's try to add a try catch block. So we want to get the table. So obviously table we have, where we have received is from here. We are getting the table name from the dynamodb.table. So now we want to get the, so we want to use a put item. So there is a method specifically in DynamoDB resource called put item. There are like a couple of things like get item, put item, list item, like that. If you want to insert the data to a DynamoDB table, we need to use this method called put item. Let me go over here, and we want to make sure that we are adding an item here. So open this. So I know that we have 4 different columns here. So let me try to, okay, actions, query with S3 select. So if you see here, ID, first name, last name, age. Okay. So let's try to give the exact name which is present over there. So we want to make sure that we are using customers data, because customers data is the variable where we have split up the data with delimited, and we will to try to access the first element. So comma, and then f name, customers data, second element, third element with L name, customers data, second element, third data with age, it's a typo, customers data with third element accessing, right, 0 1 2 3. And now we want to make sure that we are actually closing it very correctly. All right, and then this comes, so let this be here. Okay, because as per Python standards, as we all know, indentation is very important when it comes to accessing the data. All right. Okay. All right, so now we have built the logic, and now what we have to do, as we have configured with try catch, right? So it is as like try and except here. So what we will do, we will build an exception. So let me try to print here with anything like whatever which we wish, to make sure that we are getting some valid print statements. E. All right. So now I can just simply copy paste this. All right. So we have the respective code which we have completed here, right? So if you can just able to see here, we are trying to import the necessary packages, trying to get the respective resources like S3 DynamoDB, and then we are trying to catch the customer table, and then we are writing our core logic to get the bucket name, file name, followed by we are getting the data splitted by the new line character. We have like each line is one record, right? So we want to get the record level data, and then we are trying to build a control statement over here to ensure that each line's data is properly inserted into respective columns like ID, first name, last name, and age. So we are configured here with a try catch exception, like, okay. So now what we are going to do, we have to, as usual, let's go and configure an event. So let me save his. So once done, of course, we will go to configuration, go to the permission, and we are trying to access DynamoDB. So let's try to add necessary DynamoDB permissions to this Lambda function. So go here, DynamoDB full access. Try add this permission so that you will not get any access denied issue while accessing the table in DynamoDB from Lambda function. So let me go back to the code. So the code has been completed now. So we are going to test it. And then before testing it, let me deploy the function. So deploy completed. Let me try to test the table. Alright, so there is some issue here at line number 20. Okay, there is an indent missed. Apologies. So let me try to deploy the changes again. So we are now able to test the function. Okay, so it is trying to access the table. We are getting a timed out issue. So for that, what we need to do, go to configuration. Okay, go to edit. So we will be able to see like 3 seconds, right? So let's make it as 3 minutes. So let me try to save this so that like any function which is trying to access for more than 3 seconds, it will get automatically timed out. So for that, this one important thing that we want to do upfront. So let me try to test the function again. So now the function runs for at least 3 minutes before getting timed out. Okay, so we are facing some issues here. Let me try to see here what is the issue. Okay, for DynamoDB, what we should do, we should get a resource instead of client, because DynamoDB is a kind of database. For any database kind of related connectivity to Lambda function, please ensure that you are trying to use resource instead of client. So that was the issue. So let me try to test back the function again. If you are trying to connect any kind of services like S3, Glue, Athena, like that, those are like file system levels. So there is no problem of handling Boto3 with client, but resource you should be very important. That's you are trying to access it. Okay. In line number 5, we have some issues. We'll go here. Okay, let me try to do this. All right, so let me test back again. Access denied. So let me go back here. Whether is added, should be able to add it. Let me once again verify it. Yes, of course we have it. Should not be an issue from our end. Let me try to access it again. Okay, what is the line of it? Okay, so the issue is not from DynamoDB. So it is trying to access S3 bucket. So we want to add the S3 bucket permission as well, right? So just go back here, attach the policies. Of course, try to give this S3 full access and try to add the permissions. So now you may be able to understand like it is trying to access the input from S3. So that is why it is requesting the permission from S3, of course, right? So there is no issue from DynamoDB side. Yes, of course we have got all the responses, right? So if you see here the logs, we have been able to get all the details here. So how to verify and confirm? Let me try to refresh the table once. Okay, so go back to the customer table, and if we can explore the table items, simply you can able to see all the data which we have loaded via programmatically. And go back here, see if you can able to see here all 4 records right from this file, which has successfully we have loaded all those data here respectively, right? So here we go. So with this we have come to end of this video. So hope you have enjoyed watching this video, learning about how to insert the data into DynamoDB table with programmatically. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you soon with one more video right away. Thanks guys for watching this video. Bye.